Next up on my character analysis type videos, I'm going to be talking about Kenny. That's it, Kenny Payne, younger brother of Sean Payne, who infamously tossed my boy Robbie around juvie and gave him a bit of a beatdown. Gave him a bit of a good old-fashioned beatdown. So it's only natural that that would then filter into the younger Payne. Now, what I love about all the new characters that were introduced this season is each one of them has like a distinctive kind of personality. Each one of them's different. Kenny's kind of introduced as this lovable kind of, you know, young character that's just, you know, heart of gold, bit of a nerd, like we all usually are, and just, he's just a good kid, you know, he's just a good kid who's had a bit of a rough go at it because of his brother in juvie, of which we get great detail for later on. And he's new, you know, he's new to school, and who happens to be in his year other than Anthony LaRusso? Oh, now, I've spoken in a great length about Anthony's arc this season and where he'll go, but, you know, just going to be talking about it from Kenny's perspective here. What an arsehole. Excuse my French, but Jesus Christ. Like, Kenny's new to the school and Anthony's got all this, like, you know, out-of-nowhere popularity and, you know, he's now picking on the new kid just to, as Kenny's words, to impress his friends who didn't, you know, like, picking on the new kid who didn't have any. Instantly sympathise with Kenny. Instantaneously. Because we've had Anthony for 4 seasons now. And he's, you know, as Johnny says, still a piece of crap. But again, that is his long-term character arc, to which he will make up for that in future stories or next season and beyond. You know, you don't give him the line, Mr. Miyagi said that one day you'd be protecting this family for no reason at all. And you can see across the season that Anthony's kind of conflicted about what's going on, but he doesn't realise it until it's too late. But, in regards to Kenny, shout out to Kenny and Sean's dad as well. He's a military man. Shout out to that. I'm sure if that's brought up to Kreese or Silver, then they would have respected it. Because they're military as well. But seeing how Kenny goes from this, like, lovable young kid that's got a heart of gold, it's literally a staple within this show and within these stories where he's almost similar to Hawk, where he starts out like a nice, timid, kind of cool kid, and then all of a sudden, Cobra Kai's influence reigns over him, and by the end of the season he's like, you know, get ready for high school next year because you're going to be in a world of pain, and he's smiling like the Joker, for Christ's sake. Like, it's almost sad what happens to him, but it teaches Robbie some responsibility, and that's what I said with these new characters coming in, especially Kenny. One of the things that I was really most excited for this season was the connection between Robbie and Kenny, because one thing that Robbie has really been lacking is the perspective of the other party, and having a student go under his wing that pretty much goes down the path that he went down and could potentially go even further, and knowing that he is at fault for it, he now finally starts to realise what he's done to everyone around him. So you see Kenny, while new and Kenny has his own story, he serves existing characters like Robbie, for instance, and I love their bond throughout the season. And one thing that the creators did say is that this season would have Rocky all over it. And what's the thing in Rocky 5? Is that, you know, Rocky trains up an apprentice and ends up getting him in a street fight. No street fight happens here, but essentially Robbie and Kenny have to duke it out in the All Valley. And because Robbie cares about Kenny and he doesn't want to hurt him, he goes easy on him. Kenny lands a hit, Kreese does a little bit of his little, you know, pep talk, and all of a sudden, you knew what was about to happen. Kenny was about to get dropped, and you knew he was going down. But for quite a one of the youngest ones out of the lot, he's really good for his age. I think Kenny will definitely be one of the brightest fighters within the show, and I think he'll definitely continue to excel. But I love the isolation that he goes through in the first couple of episodes. I love his monologue at the end of the second episode. The feeling of being alone. These kids are harassing me. I feel scared. I don't know what to do. And you sympathise with him. And then he's having a conversation with Sean. Like, that's a great reveal. That's a great reveal. As much as I don't always like characters being connected because it makes the universe smaller, it does make sense from a storytelling standpoint, because then you can get, you know, that connection where Sean goes to Cobra Kai to find Robbie because Sean knows a guy, and that sets Robbie on the path of, oh, maybe I could take this kid under my wing, I could look out for him, I could treat him as my responsibility. And when Kenny's trying to join Cobra Kai, you know, he puts him against Kyler, who's just doing Kyler stuff, being a jerk as usual. And Kenny's scared. Like, he's visibly scared of anyone trying to hurt him or attack him. So he's scared, he backs off multiple times. Kreese basically says, get out of here, you're wasting my time. And Robbie instantaneously feels like, man, this ain't right. I can't just let this go. You know, I reckon, you know, I owe Sean this one, you know? And this could potentially have circumstances for the future. And it's going to have positive or negative repercussions the way this has gone. Sean might be angry at Robbie for letting Kenny go this way. Sean could be the one to redeem Kenny out of there. Or maybe Kenny might have a sort of different belief on Robbie, tell Sean that, and then Robbie's got to go against his former student and his former juvie pal. Like, there's an interesting story there. But the leaked video that was leaked way back before Season 4 was released, when Robbie was visiting the house, you know, I mean, everyone speculated, everyone, including myself. And, you know, it was Kenny. It was Kenny all along. And he takes him round the back, trains him and all that stuff. But what I love is the scene before, when Kenny explains what's happening, and he explains the details. And Robbie says, look, I can't train you because of this, that, whatever. And then he gets the notification on his phone. And then Robbie's like, give it here. He sees what Kenny's going through, and instantaneously, he feels a sense of responsibility. Man, I want to reach out. I want to help this kid. If I can teach this kid just a little bit of what I know, just a little bit, he won't have to be afraid. And Robbie can relate to him on that, because he was afraid of Trey and Cruz. So, there's a relatability there. I love the bond and connection that these two have. And he's like, you know, well, Sean was always big and strong. All I can do is run fast. We'll use it. And then they start training, and the score's building to that beautiful moment. It's just a beautiful moment between master and apprentice. That's what it is. And then he uses the courage and the new skills to try again in the dojo. Kyler scares him off again. And then Robbie's like, man, come on. Like, come on, dude. Come on, you can do it. And then all of a sudden, goes up to Kyler, clocks him right in the face. Extremely satisfying. Extremely satisfying. Where you going, Mr. Payne? Woo! Chills. And Kenny joins him. Kenny joins him. And of course, Kyler still treats him like crap up until the All Valley. But I think, you know, for Kenny, this was life-changing. And Kenny is a prime example of, if he had joined Miyagi-Do instead, or Eagle Fang instead, he wouldn't have become an arsehole. But that's exactly the route he's going to go down. And eventually, down the road, I can see him and Anthony sitting there playing Dungeon Lord together on the computer, because they're both nerds. You know, it's inevitable. They, you know, with Leah being the girl in the middle, like there always is, you know, I don't think that will be played out any longer than it has to. And I think these two could really get on well. And I think when the moment happens that Robbie realizes that Anthony LaRusso was the bully of Kenny. You know, you got to think, Robbie stayed with the LaRussos for a while. So not only is he going to feel guilty that he's trained up someone to beat Anthony, someone he used to live with, but also he's going to feel responsible that he's turned Kenny, this sweet kid, into an absolute weapon. And while he may not have intentionally caused it, and this is where, you know, if Sean is brought in the fold later, I don't think Kenny will ever be disloyal to Robbie. You know, that conversation that they have before they duke it out in the All Valley, where he's like, you know, I owe it all to you. You changed my life. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful moment between the two of them, you know. And it's not just master and apprentice. It's it's friends. It's you know, it's that kind of brotherhood responsibility of the older brother and the younger brother, and it's perfect. And I love it. And Robbie feels that sort of older brother void. And then we get the details that Sean is in juvie for defending Kenny. So Kenny feels even more responsible for things that have happened. Because Sean had some bad friends, Sean stuck up for Kenny, and he got himself in trouble. And that gives you the details that Sean isn't a bad guy either. He just knew a few bad people. And what happened with Robbie? He knew Trey and Cruz. So again, there's that relatability there. There's that symmetry. There's that parallel. I do wish, though, however, when Kyler's being a little punk and he's making Kenny go and grab the food, I do kind of wish my man Robbie would have said something to Kyler to say, hey, can you stop bossing him around, please? But I do like the scene that happens afterwards. When he gets out the car, he tells him, just hazing the new guy. It's a lot safer than what I had to do, involving a Cobra. But, or beating up the whole dojo. But it's the little moment that they have together where he's like, yeah, give me a butter one. You know, it's just the little bonding moments that these two have across the season. And then as soon as Hawk, you know, not learning from anything, starts harassing Kenny, Robbie instantly has a call to arms. And this is what I mean. It gives Robbie that responsibility of having someone to look out for. And then Nate and Bert circling Kenny as well, when they've been tossed around the last 3 seasons. Like, I'm sorry. This season did exactly what I said it would do. As much as we all care about the people in Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do, I said it would make Cobra Kai the protagonists. I said there would be a lot of grey for the Cobra Kai characters, and there would be a lot of the Cobra Kai characters that we would sympathise with, Robbie, Kenny, and Tori included. And that is exactly what happened. With the exception of Kyler, he's a jerk. But we love him for that. He's a jerk, but we love him for that. And then Anthony just, you know, upping the ante even more, stealing Kenny's clothes, really pushing him. And then Kenny and Robbie being the chess pieces in the mind games between Terry and Kreese across the season, where they're using these two to fight against each other. And it's not like they're using the students, they're literally fighting against each other. Terry's against Kreese, Kreese is against Terry. And, you know, he's like, Robbie doesn't have a weakness. True, Kenny's never beating Robbie, ever. But Silver says you're going about this the wrong way. Everyone has a weakness. And it's not that Kenny can beat Robbie. Come on, we know that's never going to happen. But what Kenny does is he uses his brain. He thinks, right, Robbie has a heart. Let me use that against him. And that's exactly what he does, and he knocks him on his ass. Perfectly doing what Silver set him out to do. And that there fuels the Silver and Kreese divide. You see, that their bond this season was the catalyst for so much. And then the fight with Kenny and the other, you know, arsehole kids at the library, I was just like cheering. I was like, go on, my son, you know, kick all of them right in the face. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. And then he gets blamed for it almost. But the genius of it is he covers his tracks. And then finally, Daniel has to learn some responsibility as well for Anthony. You see, that's a big thing this season, is perspective and responsibility. And Kenny was tearing it up in the skills competition. But I think across the season, I just love the bond that him and Robbie have. It's just, it's pure, it's like just brotherly love. It's looking out for your younger brother, and then the younger brother looking up to the older brother, and, you know, being the evolution of him. And I must say, if it wasn't for Kreese and Silver being in Robbie's ear, Robbie would make a good sensei. And I think Kenny would be a great, you know, a great sidekick for him. You know, Batman and Robin. I mean, come on, it's perfect. It's there. Guys and girls, jump in the comment section down below and let me know what you think of the bond that these two had this season. You know, I've talked a lot about the bond between Robbie and Kenny, but like that's just because it was so key to Kenny's arc this season and where he was going and where he's gonna go. And when Robbie beats him in the All Valley, this is what Daniel was talking about, you know, passion over principle, because now the way Robbie beat Kenny like that, it reaffirms to Kenny that the only way to succeed is with aggression, brute force, and, like, just punishment. Absolute punishment. It just reaffirms to him. So even though he got his ass whooped, and even though Kenny inside may be upset and crying, especially after, like, Robbie's final boot to the face, you see him storm off crying. But when he's in the room, it starts to, the Cobra Kai philosophy starts to set on him that, hey, this did the job. This worked. It worked for Robbie. I'm going to keep doing this. So I think next season, once Robbie, Johnny, and Miguel come back from Mexico, I think Robbie's objective is getting Kenny the hell out of there. I think that's what Robbie's going to do. And then it puts Robbie in the same shoes that Daniel and Johnny were in this season for him. Mostly Daniel, but Daniel and Johnny as well. And now that he's had that sense of responsibility, I do hope he gets Kenny out of there, because Kenny's a character that's a good kid. And under Silver, you know, it's like how Kreese used Hawk in Season 2. He's going to manipulate Kenny the way he wants. With just a few words, Terry can get Kenny to do anything he wants. And this is what I mean. If Sean is brought into the fold and he joins Cobra Kai, I don't think Sean will like what Terry does with Kenny. I think Sean's a lot smarter than that, and I think he'll see through it. So if Sean is to join Cobra Kai and he's to go with his brother and they're to stay as like Cobra Kai's new duo with Kyler or whatever, then, you know, you've really got to make me believe that Sean would go against, you know, that he'd be willing to just, like, love up with Terry and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think Sean's the kind of guy that will see through it, you know. Once you're inside juvie or you're inside any kind of a cell, you can kind of recognize real from real and all that kind of stuff. And I just don't think Sean... I think Sean will see through it. I wouldn't be surprised if Sean is the one to redeem Kenny. It's very possible. But maybe Sean and Robbie get him out of there together. Because Kenny's a good kid. And shout out to Dallas Young. Like, I mean, what a performance, you know, by a new character. You know, and a new actor into the fold. And this isn't like it's Season 1, Season 2 days. Like, we're in Season 4. It's now on Netflix. You know, it's big shoes to fill. Credit to him and the one who plays Devon. And I'm missing one. No, it was Anthony. But, I mean, he's been here since the beginning. But, yeah, to all the new characters that have been brought in, they've really served a purpose. They brought to the story. And I don't think they're going to have a major role next season. I think they were mostly brought in to serve other characters. But they will still have a part to play going forward. Guys and girls, comment your favourite Kenny moment down below. I was asked, and I've talked about this, is Kenny dancing on the sidewalk, on the side of the street, waiting for the bus. I mean, Miles Morales vibes right there. I mean, I'm just saying, like, get him as Miles. Like, I mean, it's perfect. It's right there. I mean, they knew what they were doing with the headphones and the clothes and the rucksack. They knew what they were doing. I know he's waiting for the school bus, but come on, it looks perfect. It's inch perfect. And I must say, I love when he's doing like the basketball training and Anthony thinks he's the shit. And then Kenny just drops, he smacks the ball right on his head. Oh man, Kenny was one of the cool new characters. I liked his arc. I liked the bond that he had with other characters. And I don't want, you know, the connection between Robbie and Kenny to fade. I think it's really strong. And I think it gives Robbie that sense of responsibility that he's really needed. And I think, you know, Robbie going to Johnny at the end of Season 4 saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. And Johnny saying, we'll figure this out, is exactly what's now going to happen. I think Johnny will work with him to figure it out. And that's where Robbie's redemption kicks in. And Kenny was a key part of that. And Kenny himself this season, man, there's only one tagline I can end this video with. LAPUSSO.